Chris Voss, former lead FBI hostage negotiator. For 24 years, he negotiated with terrorists, kidnappers, bank robbers, situations where one wrong word meant someone died. He wrote a book called Never Split the Difference. It became a New York Times bestseller. CEOs, entrepreneurs, salespeople all around the world now swear by his methods. But here's what nobody is talking about. Every single technique in that book, Muslims have known for 1,400 years. Tactical empathy, the Prophet ﷺ called it husn al-istima, beautiful listening. The no strategy, he practiced sabr, strategic patience that disarms resistance. Mirroring emotions, he embodied rahmah, meeting people where they are, not where you want them to be. The calm, authoritative voice, he ﷺ spoke with sakina, a tranquility so powerful it changed hearts before words ever could. Chris Voss spent decades in high-stakes negotiations and accidentally rediscovered the prophetic method. So here's the question. If the FBI is using these techniques to save lives and the Prophet ﷺ used them to build the greatest civilization in history, why aren't we, Muslim entrepreneurs, using them in our day-to-day? That's what we're addressing today. I'm going to show you the exact frameworks from Voss's book, layered with seerah, hadith, and Islamic scholarship. So you can negotiate like the professionals do while staying 100% aligned with your faith. Because when you combine Sunnah with strategy, you don't just win negotiations, you dominate them. So let's get into it. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I need to bring something to your attention. We're about to enter a unique window of opportunity. We're about to witness the biggest wealth shift of our lives. I made a very detailed video about this, and I need you to watch it right now. This is very time sensitive, so click here and watch that now. Before prophethood, Muhammad ﷺ managed Khadija's entire trading empire. A woman in the 7th century in Arabia trusted him with all of her wealth. Why? Well, Khadija's servant, Maysara, reported, "I have traveled with many traders, but I have never seen anyone negotiate with such integrity, wisdom, and calm authority as Muhammad. He didn't argue prices down. He didn't manipulate suppliers. He didn't pressure buyers. He made everyone feel like they won. And this is the part that breaks my heart. We memorized his prayers, but we never learned his business method. So let's fix that today. In Arabic, wajh means face, but it also means honor, dignity, and reputation. So here's the secret. Every negotiation is about protecting wajh, not yours, theirs. What does this mean in negotiation? When you make someone feel small, cornered, or defeated, even if you win the deal, you've lost the relationship. And in business, relationships are everything. Instead of saying something like, "Hey, do we have a deal or not? Try this. I want to make sure we structure this in a way that makes you look like a hero to your board." What would that look like? Watch what happens. Their defenses drop. Their ego is protected. And now they're negotiating for you, not against you. The Prophet ﷺ reminded us that none of you truly believe until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. So in business, this means help them win, then you both win. Chris Voss teaches something called the accusation audit. It's where you call out every negative thing the other person might be thinking about you, even before they say it. You can say something like, you're probably thinking, this guy's gonna waste my time, he's going to overpromise, and I'm going to regret this meeting. What just happened? You disarmed them because you said what they were thinking but were afraid to say. Now here's the wild part. The Prophet's first public declaration happened when he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was commanded to now publicly declare his message. He stood on Mount Safa and called the Quraysh. But before he said anything about Islam, he asked them a question. If I told you that an army was approaching from behind this mountain, would you believe me? And they all answered, yes, we have never known you to lie. What was he doing? He was preemptively establishing his credibility. He knew they were about to reject his message. He knew they'd accuse him of being crazy, a liar, a troublemaker. So he made them state publicly in front of everyone that he was trustworthy before they could attack his character. That's an accusation audit at the highest level. He didn't wait for them to doubt him. He, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, forced them to confirm his credibility first. And even though they still rejected the message that day, they could never claim him to be a liar again because they had just testified to his honesty. Now, let me give you something powerful. Before your next pitch, say this. Look, you've probably sat through 10 pitches this month. They've all promised you the moon. And you're probably thinking, here we go again. So let me be honest with you. Let me tell you what we can't do. But here's what we can do better than anyone else. When you do this, you earn instant credibility because honesty is so rare, it feels like a superpower nowadays. Most entrepreneurs are terrified of hearing no. So they offer discounts too early. They accept bad terms just to close the deal. Stop. No is not rejection. No is information. It tells you what they're afraid of, what they don't understand, and what leverage you actually have. When they say no, don't panic. Say, that's completely fine. That's completely fair. Can I ask, is this a no meaning no, we're not interested at all? Or is this a no meaning not right now? Or you can say something like, what would need to change for this to become a yes in 6 months from now? Now you're not selling. You're extracting intelligence. You're extracting data. And often they'll talk themselves back into the deal. Here's my secret weapon. The line that has closed more deals than any pitch deck, any discount, any charm. This is what you say. How do we structure this so it's fair for you and has barakah for both of us? Let me tell you what just happened. You shifted from an adversarial stance to collaborative. You signaled long-term thinking. You invited divine blessings into the conversation. And we know the famous hadith that if the buyer and the seller are truthful and clear, the transaction will be blessed. The word blessed doesn't just mean profit. It means client stays loyal, work flows easily, problems resolve themselves, and referrals come naturally. That's barakah. I know some of you are thinking, what if I'm negotiating with a non-Muslim? You just change the word barakah with benefit. How do we structure this so it's fair for you and has benefit for the both of us? Your goal is never to hear yes. Your goal is to hear that's right. When they say that's right, they feel understood. They feel aligned with you. They feel like you're on the same team. And at that point, you've already won. So how do we actually get that's right? Do this. Summarize their position better than they can. For example, you could say something like, so if I'm hearing you correctly, you love the idea, but you need to see proof that it works in your specific market before you commit. You're also concerned about implementation time because your team is already stretched too thin. Is that right? If they say, yes, exactly, that's right, that's it. You win. For years, I thought faith and business were separate. Jumu'ah was for spirituality. Monday was for strategy. I was wrong. Everything, including how you negotiate, how you close, how you lead, is worship. So when you negotiate with wajh, sidq, hilm, and barakah, you're not just doing business. You're manifesting the sunnah in the boardroom. I know what it's like to feel like you're not enough. People dismiss you because of your name, because of your beard or your hijab. I know what it's like to second guess yourself, to wonder if you should just play the game like everyone else, cut corners, bend the truth, do whatever it takes. But here's what I learned. You don't need to compromise to compete. You don't need to abandon your principles to win. You just need to master them. Because when you negotiate with honor, when you speak with truth, when you move with calm authority, you're not just closing deals. You're representing something bigger than yourself, what Islamic excellence looks like in practice. And trust me, people are starving for that. They're tired of being manipulated. They're exhausted by fake smiles and empty promises. They're looking for someone they can actually trust. So go into that next meeting with your head high, your heart clean, and your character intact, and negotiate like the Prophet ﷺ taught us, with wisdom, with mercy, and with unshakable calm. Until the next video, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.